Hello and welcome to One Source Overseas. This is Sandeep Jadhav, your career coach and a visa expert. And today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Chinmay Kabadi. Mr. Chinmay is a student of One Source Overseas. He went to France in 2020, just before the COVID hit.
Yes.
He was in France. We have a very interesting story to tell you. Welcome to One Source Overseas
Thank you.
again. We have this session because we want to educate a lot of prospective students to understand the nuances of studying in France, understanding the quality of education and the lifestyle, the do's and don'ts, and all of that. So, we'll hit with your first question that how interesting is it to go to France for higher education, or why should one consider France as an interesting destination to study?
So first of all, it's a very beautiful country. So, and just like India, it has different kind of climate. Go to north, it's too cold. If you go to south of France, it's too beautiful. You have a sea and everything. And also, you as an international student, when you go to a university, you meet a lot of international students, multicultural. It's not like everybody speaks English. Everyone comes from different parts of Europe and Asia, so you meet different people. And of course, while for studying, it's quite different from India. A lot of you have a lot of classes. There are multiple projects. There are multiple assignments to be done. So yeah, it is kind of busy when you are a student, but it's all worth it.
Right. Okay. So, as we know that the cost of fees is very affordable in France to take higher education. Tell me something about the living expenses.
It's not too high if we compare it to Canada or UK or US because French government is very acceptable when it comes to international students. So at the same when you have a free health visa, when we have free health insurance, at the same time for international students you get 50% reimbursement on your rentals. So for example, if you pay 500 euros for your monthly rental, you get 250 euros back from the government. So it's not that expensive compared to other places to live in France.
France is the only country that gives you up to 50% reimbursement of accommodation cost. That's a in fact. So that takes out up to 50% of your burden
Yes.
on your living cost. But besides that, see, there are a lot of myths and there are a lot of contemplation that if I'm going to France, will I get a part-time job? How easy or how difficult it is to get a part-time job?
If you speak basic French, like I will say A2 level, it's quite easy to get part-time job in France. But if you don't speak French at all, yes, it is difficult. But even if you go to any other country like Germany, where they speak German, if you go to China, Chinese. So just like those countries, if you don't speak their language, it's always
It's going to be difficult. So you need to learn at least A1 or A2 language before you go to France for your higher education. Now, since Chinmay is an alumni of ISC Paris, he has studied supply chain and logistic as a master's course. He is currently working with
your provision company. I work as a warehouse manager. So I did my supply chain management from ISC Paris, thanks to One Source Overseas.
Welcome.
And yeah, that helped me get my ISC Paris was a great school.
Right.
Of course, I did my course during COVID, so I didn't see the university much, but they tried to help us to find a job and to acclimatize in France in the beginning as much as they can because we were at home. And yeah, I'm working as a warehouse manager in the supply chain domain in south of France from last 3 years.
And say somebody who is working into supply chain management in India and compared to what you're doing in France, how different it is?
I would say in India it's easy because we speak the local language. But if you are working in supply chain management, you definitely need French language, not expertise, but conversation level French. Because as in a supply chain domain, you always deal with people on the ground, you always deal with suppliers, you always deal with your partners in the team. So you need to speak French language if you're going to work in France. If you do speak, then it's very easy and it's very helpful.
That's what I was talking. Work-life balance. Like how does it work in?
Yeah, Saturdays, weekends are always chill, so you have multiple things to do. You can explore the local area, and you have 2.5 days a month of holidays, paid holidays. So if you calculate it for a year, So on 12 months, you get 1 month off. So what I am on right now,
Paid leave.
paid leave. So you get for 12 months, you get 1 month of paid leave. So you
Right.
can have that work-life balance. You can come back to India for vacation and
And almost 2 months of weekends.
yes, yes.
So it's
yes,
a 3 months holiday.
yes. And also they have almost 11 or 12 national holidays.
Right.
So there are lots of holidays.
Yeah.
Work-life balance is, I would say, better than
And do they want you to work 8 hours maximum in a day?
some
Or
companies are needs their employees to be flexible during some busy period, but
Busy.
all your every minute of your extra hours is counted and accounted for. So yeah, that
you
is
get
a great
paid
thing.
for that.
You get paid for that. Yes.
What would be the most challenging aspects of life while studying in France? Okay. What?
You get a big cultural shock when you just land on the Paris Charles de Gaulle airport,
Okay.
and because suddenly you realize that you don't speak a language, you can't communicate with some random person in the street. So that the culture that's the shock you get, but. It takes, I would say, 2 or 3 months to get acclimatized with the weather, with the people in like French people, French language, and it's not that easy to acclimatize. But you need to hold your ground. Try to understand their culture.
Right.
Try to understand their language. Of course, you are not expert when you land in Paris or in France, anywhere in France, but at least try to understand what their thought process is, how they operate. They are very chill people. If you just try to show them that you are a new learner in the language, you are new in France, you are trying to learn things, they are very cooperative.
Okay.
But if you go with the attitude that no, I don't speak French and I'm going to stick to English,
Then it's very
yeah, you deal
very
with me,
difficult.
and they are the rudest people you'll ever meet in the world.
So, what are the professional etiquettes and norms which one should know beforehand before entering into France, in terms of culture, in terms of greets?
I'd say because of our all those surrounding sounds in India, we are in general as Indians are slightly louder than European people.
Right.
So we just when we talk on phone in public transport or even in the office, we are slightly louder than other people.
Okay.
So just it's a
That's
good
irritating.
yeah. So just hold your breath, hold
voice
your
down.
voice down,
Okay.
and try to talk calmly.
Friendly. Sometimes I feel that
Yes.
we're really over friendly, but they take time
Yes.
to mingle around you and
Yeah,
get-
European in general, they are not too friendly like us because we are friendly in general,
Correct.
and they are not. They try to keep those professional and personal boundaries
Right.
very rigid and very solid.
Okay. Okay.
So whenever you're in a workspace, just respect that boundary.
Right. And what are the easiest way to acclimatize with their culture? What would the best tip that you can give, which will get it eased down?
I would say the only key to survive and enjoy France,
French language.
yes, because
Learn French.
Yeah, because if you speak a bit of French, you can develop your French skill just by talking. You can't learn it just by Duolingo or just by any book. When you, of course, you will learn the basics, but you will develop the proper skills after talking to people.
Provide the French training free of cost to all our students. We want them to at least attain A2 level. It costs 20,000, 25,000 if you go for a professional coaching, but we provide it for free because it just eases down your journey. And we'll be happy if you are if you're finding it easy to integrate with the French culture. So what we do at One Source. Besides that, what are the 5 fields which you think has good job prospects after graduation? A student would easily end up getting a job. Any 5 fields that you recommend?
In France, I would say marketing, supply chain, IT is always a good idea. The AI integration of everything. You SAP consultant. If you have skills of AI integration, so whatever you do, I would say do it with AI integration. So that skill is
Moving towards AI ML,
integration.
and then your SAP, your supply
Yes.
chain,
Yes.
logistic.
Yes.
I think everything will analyze data and combination. So I think a lot of manual things would be done by AI.
The basic. If you're basic at something, I don't think you'll have a difficult future.
So we're looking at AI, ML, data science. We're looking at IT. We're looking at supply chain. We're looking at marketing.
Marketing, yes.
And
and administrative courses like international business.
They have very good scope, international
Administrative
business.
posts like office manager or assistant office manager.
Okay.
These posts are always open in France, I would say, but that post require French because you're
French
dealing
language.
with.
Of course, you are dealing with in the business arena. You need to. What is your observation about Indian students studying in France? What did you observe, like in terms of do's and don'ts? Like you would like to.
I saw a few of my friends got terrified by cultural shock.
Culture shock.
Couldn't again. I was there in COVID time, so that made it worse.
Right.
And cultural shock, they couldn't handle it because even if you go to a small supermarket, you can't converse with people, you can't find a product because you can't ask them where is the product. So that thing, the initial survival period is difficult.
Right.
Speak the language.
So tell me, like students who are graduating from information system or from supply chain and logistic and all of these fields, besides language, what are the things that they should focus? Because you might have attended a lot of interviews. What did you learn out of it, and what should be done?
As a warehouse manager, I go through some CVs because we hire people during the season.
Great.
So I've seen a lot of Indian CVs for internship posts. They are not up to date. I mean, you should mention everything in detail. You can't just put 4 lines that I've worked in DMart, I've worked in Big Bazaar, I've worked in that.
Right.
Just vaguely. Just show you what you have done in that job, not where you have done the job. So describe your job properly in your CV.
Right.
Put a good photograph in the CV. Put your contact details, your LinkedIn profile.
Right.
Most important thing, keep your LinkedIn profile updated every month. Whatever you do, put it on your LinkedIn profile. It's like matrimonial site for jobs.
That's interesting. So LinkedIn is something that's very well followed. A lot of students are like quite not aware about the significance of LinkedIn and what role it plays when it goes when you are in abroad. Additionally, when you speak about resume or CV, I think what you're also trying to say is that instead of letting us know that where you have worked, you should let us know what skills you have learned there or what skills you're bringing to us.
Yes. What changes you have made in that, even if it is internship.
Right.
If you have changed something, like if you have improve the company's efficiency by 5% or 2%, mention those figures. Those are important because then the person going through your CV knows that this is a real CV, not a made up CV.
And what are the things Indian students will really enjoy their immersing themselves in French culture, like Bastille Day, and there's so many other what are the things that they can actually enjoy when they are living their student life?
Here in Paris, I would say that's the best place to be when it comes to celebrations. You have Eiffel Tower, you have Arc de Triomphe, and you have lots of other places like Bastille. On Bastille Day, there's a place called Place de Bastille, where they celebrate their independence journey and everything. Again, 14th of July, their national day. You will see beautiful fireworks at Eiffel Tower. And if you're in Paris,
of course, I think Paris is like Eiffel Tower is like an occasion and a festival in itself, and it's like almost every evening there is something going on. New Year celebrations are there. Almost every celebrations would have an epicenter at Eiffel Tower. Barring all that, like whoever is planning to study in France, can you tell them what are the work visa requirements if you want to? For example, if you do your masters in France, you get a 2 years of APS to look for a job. After you finish that 2 years of APS, you're supposed to extend your work visa. So, any details on that? Like, what are the ways? What are the requirements? What will be the duration of the work visa?
So after, as you said, after student, your master, you get 2 years, like 1 plus 1.
1 plus 1.
You have to renew it after first year. So it's a job creation, a job search or business creation visa.
Okay.
So either you find a job during that visa, or you can create your own business and get your visa converted into business visa. Or when you find a job, there are multiple conditions for that salaried visa. So the basic one is you have to have 1.5 times the minimum salary of French minimum salary norm.
Minimum
So
wages,
right
yeah.
at this moment, it's 2651 euros gross. You have to have that salary to get your salaried visa.
Okay.
And if you get more, like if you get 44,000 euros per year gross, so you can get passport talent,
Okay.
which is valid for 4 years. And salaried visa, you have to do it, you'll get it for 1 year. And then when you renew it, you'll get it for 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
And most of the people I know who spend like 5 years in France, they either go for 10-year permanent
Extended
residency
visa.
card, or they go for citizenship.
Citizenship. Okay. That's much more like if you have maintained your tax returns on time,
Yeah.
you maintain your police records.
Yeah.
So everything that's belonged to you as a person, as a profile in France and back in India. So when you're applying for any kind of citizenship or permanent residency.
More interesting thing about French job is you don't need sponsorship from any companies, unlike UK or Canada, where you need your company to sponsor you. In France, that's not the case.
Okay.
You just find a job, get your contract, get your salary slips every month, and that's the only thing is required.
Okay. So companies don't have to take efforts and pay the extravagance fees to extend your visa. So that's not a
burden on the company and not a mental burden on you.
Exactly.
That your visa is dependent on your company. It's not the case. So that's the best part of today's
because
job.
that's what happens in UK. Like, if you first, you should be out of those 91,000 sponsors who are, already mentioned on the immigration website. Only they can sponsor your visa. If they have to sponsor, there is a substantial amount that has to be paid by the company to give you a sponsorship. Right. Plus proof that there is no other talent that is there in the country for which you
That's the case in France as well. But if you have 1.5 times the SMIC amount,
then it doesn't.
If you don't have that salary, then the company has to prove through a website that we searched for local French candidates and we didn't find any, and that's why we are hiring a foreign student.
Okay.
But I think if you do a master's and if you're well educated, if you have relevant skills and background, I think you get at least 1.5 times make amount.
Great. Prep or upskill yourself for this job.
So after my supply chain, first thing I worked on was my French, because I knew, when I did some interviews, the interview used to go very well for 30 minutes, and the last question almost in every interview I got asked was, how is your French?
Oh.
And then they test you on that. So any company in France would prefer a person speaking French rather than a person not speaking French. So even if your skills are higher than someone and you don't speak French,
the other person
will be the preference, because it's, no matter how international the company is, your colleagues would be French.
Okay.
Most of them. So for company atmosphere, for the overall atmosphere of the company, they prefer people speaking French. So I worked on French. I searched for some relevant skills on Udemy, on
you did that?
Yes. So you just, if you see a job and in the job requirements,
skill requirements,
if you see something which you don't have skill for, just go for it. And today's world, it's free of cost.
Right.
It doesn't cost money.
Yes. Amazing tip, guys. If you are looking for a job in France during your education, during your masters, just keep looking at the skill sets required and just upgrade yourself. That's what we do here. We actually form a journey for a student. So when we know that he's going for a particular course, say for example business analytics, what we do here is, okay, we are going to look at the requirements that are mentioned on the job portal, and then we upgrade the students we give them the links. These are the courses you need to beforehand, before they reach here. They are ready with their skill sets, they are ready with the French language the moment they enter, and that helps a great deal.
Yeah, that's what important. Have the right skill set and have the
yes.
set.
But the most enthralling and the thing that I'm thrilled with is Mr. Chinmay is working for Yacht Provision Services, where he's dealing with the most luxurious billionaires who hire yachts for and probably
for their summer vacation,
for vacations,
for business trips.
Exactly. And he's just dealing with those high-end clients and the billionaires, and it's all lavish.
It's lavish.
So
It's unbelievably lavish.
Unbelievably, and you said dangerously lavish.
Dangerously lavish. Sadly lavish. I mean, if you see a yacht and that port where all those super yachts are parked, and when you see there, because I deal with the product inflow and outflow, so I see products going in and out. So when you see those products, like the products which you see in not even in Hollywood movies, like why
Exactly.
someone would order particular type of bread from US in France, importing that and paying hell lot of amount for that,
Exactly.
for that small bread,
Loaf of bread.
loaf of bread. Yeah, so it's a luxurious industry, and yeah, there are challenges to work with those millionaires because money is not a problem for them.
Exactly.
They just want their product, no
They
matter
just
how.
want the right thing.
Right thing at right time, no matter how.
Yes.
So yeah,
It's really interesting, but at the same time, very I would say it might get you into an anxious mode. It might
Yeah.
create anxiety to deal with these kind of clients because, like you said, they have all the money in the
they
world,
have all the money.
and they really don't care. You just give it.
Money is not the problem. So if you can't provide them what they want, even if they are pay, even if they are ready to pay any kind of money, so they are just judging on you that why can't I have a Japanese wagyu in off season in France in heat of the summer? So we can't give them excuses. We just have to make it happen.
That is like something, you know. I'm really happy for you, and I really feel privileged to have you here and share all these details.
I would say I got this opportunity because of Sandeep sir. And if I have to explain my journey, it was France was accident for me, but I mean I would say it took me from deciding to go to France to being in Paris. It was just 15 days of journey.
17 days.
Of journey, and
Yes.
this man made it happen.
Yeah, I do remember that. But it changed. Those 17 days changed the whole
Yeah,
track of
Whole
life.
life, yeah.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chinmay, working in France, made it big and is here to let you know that nothing is impossible. If you put sheer hard work, if you upskill yourself, you do the right thing, you will get there. And thank you very much, Chinmay, for
Thank you,
joining
thank
us,
you.
and thank you for
Thank
coming
you for
over.
having me.
And it was all pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.